Joining me now, Associate Housing Minister Tama Potaka. Thanks for your time, Tama. Firstly, these evictions, I think the numbered 14 was the number I saw just recently in the last few months. Is this as a result of new regulations, or are you just enforcing previous regulations?
Hey, kia ora, Miles, and it's a great day to be here online with you. Early days, but we have instructed Kāinga Ora to take a stronger approach to manage unruly, disruptive, threatening or abusive tenants. The earlier sustaining tenancies framework has now gone. We have new tenancy framework management in place, management framework. And as you mentioned, there's been 14 terminations in the last 3 months with a number of other applications heading that way. Last year in 2023, there were only 8 in the whole year. So we are being firm. We do recognise that there are some greater responsibilities Kāinga Ora is taking on, and most people living in social housing, Miles, they're doing the right thing. But there are a few that go, beyond their responsibilities and breach their responsibilities as tenants. And we've got to respect that there are people within the communities that have rights to quiet enjoyment, and we respect those rights.
Now, what are the major changes, Tama, from the sustaining tenancies framework to the new one? What are the major changes that you've introduced?
One of the things that we're really encouraged Kāinga Ora to do is to take a stronger approach around managing communications around unruly or threatening behaviour, and to get into that very quickly. So to have discussions with those folks who have alleged to be undertaking this sort of behaviour and start issuing formal warnings. And in our view, it was incumbent on us to ensure that we instructed Kāinga Ora to take a firmer approach. And we've been doing this across a number of dimensions of the housing system. But over the last few years, we've received many messages as the MPs. I'm the MP of Hamilton West, of course, from people who are just trying to enjoy their lives. Quiet enjoyment of their communities and their houses, but they've got folks who are living next door in Kāinga Ora properties that have been disruptive and abusive.
So now
making sure that we step through those warning systems, step through the relevant notice periods, and get to the situation which we've got, which is 14 terminations in the last 3 months.
Now, you're saying, that you've put the pressure on to Kāinga Ora and exhorted them to be firmer and act quicker, which I think everyone would appreciate, especially those tenants who are living next door to these antisocial individuals. But are you telling me then that the previous government just let Kāinga Ora go, or that Kāinga Ora also are subservient to government giving them instructions rather than acting on their own volition?
Well, we need to... Kāinga Ora is has its own independent board and statutory authority, but we're really focused on making sure that people are aware of their responsibilities as tenants of social housing, and that Kāinga Ora is proactive in taking action where there has been unruly and disruptive behaviour. So that enables a few different things, like a disruptive behaviour policy, which allows faster tenancy termination for different types of incidents, like where there's a significant safety issue or where behaviour is disruptive and persistent, and warnings from Kāinga Ora staff are ignored. So Kāinga Ora's got a new framework. It's in place, and so far, early days, blue shoots or green shoots, we think it's progressing nicely.
That seems to be the government line of the day, doesn't it? Green shoots at the moment all over the place.
But blue shoots sometimes too. Blue shoots, Miles, blue shoots.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. Anyway, blue shoots, yeah. Now, Andrew McKenzie has stepped down because he supposedly, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, took issue with the direction and says, this isn't what I signed up for. Is that sort of sentiment more pervasive through Kāinga Ora, and do you think that could cause issues further down the line?
Well, I leave the employment matters for Mr. McKenzie and the Kāinga Ora board, and what we're really focused on is making sure that we go through the recent report, independent report, authored by Sir Bill English and his team, on where things are going with Kāinga Ora, trying to get it back onto a more financially sustainable and fiscally prudent setting. And starting to look at better ways across the whole housing system where the government has an important role to play in facilitating new houses to be built and also more effective social housing. And I think that you and others have probably had the chance to have a look at that independent report and have found probably a couple of surprises therein.
Now, there's a lot of concern from the Greens and others of where do these people go? What's your view on that, and sort of what measures are you taking to make sure that they don't become a problem elsewhere as such?
I think the first thing is that, and I'll go back to our earlier comments, Miles, is that people who are living in social housing and other forms of government-supported housing, that does come with responsibilities, and they have responsibilities not only to their own whānau but to their neighbours and the communities in which they live, particularly given the level of support that government and ultimately the taxpayer are giving those whānau. And a lot of people are doing it tough, and that's why we have emergency housing for those in genuine need for short-term stay and social housing for those that need a bit of support. The second thing is that we do go through a process with the tenancy management framework where there are incidents. There is a step-by-step process that our teams undertake, and some of those folks that have had their tenancies terminated, they will go with their whānau, others will go towards social housing providers and might engage with community housing providers. They are under no obligation to tell us where they are going, so we don't have all the data around where people are moving to. But ultimately, those houses don't stay vacant either. When people's tenancies are terminated, we look towards the social housing register and also those folks in emergency housing to move in to those vacated properties. So on a net basis, we think that those houses, those social houses, will need to be used by people who come off the register or out of emergency housing.